Hi, this is Alfozia Nihar from At Home Tuition. Welcome to our session today. The topic that we are going to discuss in our today's video is dot plot. When analyzing data, we often need to study the characteristics of a single group of numbers, observations or measurements. We might want to know the center and spread about the central value. We might want to investigate extreme values, which are often referred to as outliers, or study the distribution or pattern of the data values. Several plots are available to allow us to study the distribution. One such plot is dot plot. A data display, it is just a data display in which each data item will be shown as a dot above a number line. In a dot plot, a cluster shows where a group of data point falls. Cluster means a group of dots which is very closer. So this shows where a group of data points will fall. And you should notice some gap in between the clusters. The gap is an interval where there are no data items. So this is how a dot plot will be displayed. Like histograms, dot plots are used to understand the pattern underlying a data set. We can see how many of the values are large or most small or large. Unlike histogram, the dot plot also shows you information about the individual data values. So, while a histogram can't be used to answer some questions like how many data values were under 10, a dot plot can. So, let's use an example to see how to make a nice dot plot. You can also use some tools to make dot plots, but it is always a great way to get better at reading them is to just draw the dot plot by hand. Okay, now let's take an example. Here is the example. The following data set shows the fuel economy in miles per gallon for a sample of 2015 model year vehicles. Okay. By looking at the table, you can understand that this data set definitely includes a wide variety of cars. It will be interesting to see the plot. Okay, let's do it step by step. As a first step, let us choose a scale and set it up, because a dot plot is nothing but a set of dots over a number line. Am I right? So here we are going to make a horizontal scale. And please note that it needs to cover all the values given in the fuel economy column. So for this data set, you should notice what is the smallest value and the highest value. Yes, smallest value is 16 and the largest value is 40. So I have started a horizontal scale starting from 16 till 40. You will notice that I chose to count by 2 instead of 1. This is not required, but just makes the plot a little more compact. You can count by 1, 5 or even 10 if you like. It depends upon the data set given in your question. You can make a horizontal scale according to your convenience. Next step is to plot the dots. Alright, this step sounds somewhat difficult, but there is really no other way to say it. For this step, you will start filling in the dots by using your scale that you have set up. Also, please remember that each value gets a dot and the dots are stacked. After drawing a dot, you can stack it. So to see this, let's start by plotting only the first row of data. Only one car shows it. The fuel economy of only one car is 16. So draw a plot about that. And if you look at the table, you can see that 31 for 5 times. Am I right? You can see that each value is represented by a dot on the plot. And since there were 2 cars that get 31 miles per gallon, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. So we have to put 5 dots on top of each other. 1 dot above 16 and 1 dot above 27. 1 car gets, okay, 2 car gets 30. So 2 dots above 30. 5 dots above 31. It should be stacked one above the other. And next number is 32. Only 1 car gets 24 and 1 car gets 40. That's it for this dot plot. Remember that while you can't be perfect doing this by hand, that you should try and make sure that the dots mostly line up. You don't want any big spaces between the dots to make one value look more common than another. Here is the data set along with the finished dot plot. You can see again each value got a dot plot. The scale is somewhat lengthier. The last one cannot be seen. Okay. Notice that we added a title and a label to our main scale. This step is important, so someone else looking at the plot can know what kind of data they are looking at. That's really is it. The dot plot is a great plot to use for representing data precisely because it is so simple to make and read. Remember that in statistics, our goal is often to communicate information to others. The more simply we can do this better. Hope you're clear with this example. Okay, let me give you a small recap about the steps to create a dot plot. First, order the numbers from least to greatest. That will be very helpful for you. And second step is draw a number line, labeling the number line with the minimum and maximum, and then all the numbers that fall between them. And put a dot above each number on the number line for each data entry in your set. And please don't forget a title and label. Let me show you one more example. Here is the next example. Please have a glance over this question. A set of data is given. We are going to display this data in a dot plot. Let's draw a horizontal scale. Here, if you look at the numbers, the smallest one is 61 and the largest one is 83. Am I right? So the first number should be 61 and the last number should be 83. And you have to fill in all the leftover numbers in between. And here, the dot we are going to draw refers to one person. Let's name and label this graph. We have given a title and we have labeled it. Now you have to draw single plot for each number. So how many 61s are there here, and you have to check how many numbers are displayed and draw the dot according to that. There are two 61s, so draw dot one above the other. And next number is 64. Only 164 is there, like that only 167. Only 170 is there, no other 70s. So one dot to refer 70. And how many 71s are there? Please check. There are 371s. So you have to draw 3 dots one above the other. Even if the numbers are not arranged in order, you can arrange them. In this problem, the numbers are arranged in order. The reason why I am saying to arrange them in ascending or descending order is it will be very helpful for you so that you won't miss any number. After finishing your dot plot, you can count the dots and count the data set given. If they are matching, you have make the dot plot for all the numbers, all the data values given. If the dots are lesser than the data set given, you should have missed some data. Okay, let's continue the dot plot. Next number is 72. Only 172 is there, so one dot above 72. How many 73s are there? Only one. Since we are drawing it by hand, it is not a problem. The dots may not look perfect. Okay, next number is 74. There are two 74, so two dots, one above the other. Only 175, only 179, 77 and 180. Two 81s and 183. Let me make the dot plot for each. That's it for this example. Okay, after completing the dot plot, you should check whether there is any cluster. Do you see any cluster here? Cluster means the dots that are grouped together. Yes, you can see cluster here. Most of the dots are closer to in this area. Same way you have to check, are there any gaps? Yes, there are gaps. There are intervals in between the clusters. Am I right? Now let's check what is the average time. To find the average, as usual, you should add all the numbers and divide the sum by the number of the data values given. Here you have to add all these numbers and divide it by 20. I'm getting about 73 seconds. I'm using the units given in this question. Can you follow so far? Okay, now let's find the median in this dot plot. Median is the middlemost number in the data set, that is ordered from least to greatest. So what would be the middlemost? Yes, 73. So the median would be 73 seconds for this example. Now let's find the range from this dot plot. Hope you all are familiar with the range. Range is nothing but highest value minus lowest value, maximum value minus minimum value. So what would be the highest? 83, and the lowest is 61. So if you just subtract, you'll be getting 22. So range for this dot plot, this airline training program test is 22 seconds. So after completing the dot plot, you should be able to find the range, mean, median, and mode is very simple. The most frequently repeated data is called the mode. So what would be the mode here? 71. Yes. Now let's discuss the merits and limitations of dot plot. First I'm going to start with the merits. This method is better than any other methods of showing distribution because of its accuracy. The distribution of dots is similar to the commodity. This is the best method for showing the absolute figures. It provides us a better visual effect and it is more useful than other methods of showing distribution. By looking at the dot plot, we can have an idea of the figures shown on the map by counting the dots. We do not have to look at the index time and again. Okay, the dot maps can be easily read. More than one element can also be shown on a single map by using multiple dot method, like the picture on the board. Now let's see the limitations. This is useful for absolute figures only. Relative figures such as density of population, proportion of agricultural land, these things cannot be shown by dot method. The dot method loses much of its significance if the data are not available for small division of areas. Am I right? On the dot plot, the map covers 2 to 5 times the actual area of the ground. So this gives erroneous picture of the distributional pattern. And sometimes it is difficult to detect the errors made by the person who is placing the dots on the dot plot. This can be used with numerical and categorical data. In dot plots, the frequency axis is not necessary, but you need to count to find the frequency in each stack of dots. And they can be hard to construct and sometimes interpretation for data sets with many points. And one important thing is dot plots clearly display the clusters and gaps of data and outliers. So these are the merits and limitations of dot plots. In case if you have any query regarding this topic,